Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem. This is a rapid game that I played recently on the ICC. The ICC actually just introduced a new ratings pool, an auto pairing pool. The previous ones were the 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, and 15-minute pools, which I don't like to play in because they are all they have no increment, so it's all 5 minutes with no increments, for example. It's the time control that Chess Explained and King's Crusher play at, and it's just annoying to be in a game that has no increment because you could end up losing a drawn position, things like that. So I don't play in those. But they introduced a new time control, a new pool, which is 25 and 10, and this is the rapid time control. It's an official FIDE time control. You get 25 minutes for the whole game plus 10 seconds increment for every move. And so it's quite a reasonable time control, and it's interesting to play. It gives you a little more time to think about the moves. And I played an interesting game in it recently, so I wanted to share that with you, talk about the game. And I played pretty well. There was a couple of moments, and I'll point them out, where I just moved too quickly. Sometimes because you're playing online and you're used to playing blitz online in particular, you move too quickly when you really have time to think about these moves. And so there's a couple places where I did that. Okay, let's go. I played e4. My opponent played e5. We get a Ruy Lopez, knight f3, knight c6. And we get the main line, bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, attacking the center. I castle, sort of indirectly defending it. And now he plays b5. Normally in the main line you play bishop e7 first and then b5. But these moves can be played in either order. b5, bishop back to here. And the point of this b5 move, kicking the bishop back, it allows a couple of different ideas from black. There's the Arkhangelsk variation with bishop to b7, or the new modern line with bishop to c5 that I like to play. Or you can just play bishop e7, and this goes back into the traditional main line of the closed Ruy Lopez. But normally it's reached by a different move order with bishop to e7 first and then b5. Not that it makes a whole lot of difference. So rook e1, and he castles. And castles signals that black intends to play the Marshall attack with the Marshall Gambit with d5 here. It's a pawn sack that gives a very interesting play for black after the main move for white is c3, and then d5 as the reply would take you into the Marshall Gambit. So I didn't want to play that. There are several anti-Marshall lines. One of them is h3. I've played that before. And another one is a4. So I tried out this a4 line. Not a line I'm particularly familiar with. It's just kind of an experiment. He pushed on with b4, which turns out to be the main move. And I played d3. I actually was not sure what the main move was here anymore. Like I said, I was experimenting with this line. But d3 makes sense. It's opening up a line for the bishop. It's shoring up the center in case black wants to play d5 at some point and try and undermine the center. You're already prepared with that point defended. Let's see. It is possible actually to play d4 in this position. Seems like that might be an interesting way to play as well, but d3 is what I played, going for a closed setup. He goes d6, and now I went c3, and c3 is out of the opening book. Let's see. The main moves here were the pawn move to a5, which I did think about. It kind of isolates this pawn on b4, and maybe that pawn can become a target. I think that was the main move here. I forget what the other one was, but I played c3. So we're out of the opening book at this point, and it's the other move was just getting about with your development with knight bd2. Also a very logical way to play. So, but c3 is not a bad move. It's just not in the opening book. It keeps things fairly balanced here. My opponent makes a slight mistake here with the move a5. That's not commonly played here. Because it takes a square away from the knight. Sometimes the knight wants to go to a5. Often the knight wants to go to a5 and harass this bishop. So you've kind of blocked in the bishop here. And so I decided to just leave the tension here with these pawns. Now this isn't a fatal mistake. It's just a slight inaccuracy. Let's see. And I continue developing knight to d2. He goes bishop e6. And the chess engine actually wants to trade here, but I don't like the idea of opening up the F-file for my opponent. That gives him some counterplay. So I just stepped away with the... I just moved my knight. Let's see. The other idea the chess engine had was to play knight to c4, which is kind of interesting. But I like this knight f1 move here. I'm just maneuvering my knight over to the king side. And if he wants to trade, it doesn't open up any lines, just brings my queen over here. Let's see. He went queen d7, and I push on with d4. Often an idea in the Ruy Lopez to build up this big center. And right here is maybe the first noticeable mistake from black. The line preferred by the chess engine is to just go ahead and take the bishop off. Instead, he relocates his bishop to g4, which is interesting. It puts pressure on this knight and indirectly pressure on the center. But this pawn is still adequately defended at this point, so I just continue with my development, knight to g3. And now he takes. And this continues as bishop g4 is possibly a mistake. Let's see. What I should do here, rather than develop that knight, by the way, is I should push on the move d5 immediately. I hit on this idea later, but d5 here is already a good move, because as I pointed out, this knight has no squares to go to, so it has to go back to a worse square. So this move not only gains space, but it turns that knight into a bad piece. So I should push d5 here while I have the chance. So my move, knight to g3, gives black a second chance to play a good move, but instead he took my knight. So let's talk about what he should have played first. If he takes, he can take here first, say taking on c3, and then he can take on d4 and get this kind of structure. This pawn is still defended, but now the push pawn to d5 can be met by knight to b4, and this is an equal position. Black is equalized, and the key equalizing move here actually is black plays d5 himself right in this position, and so that would be a way for black to get a decent game from this position. Instead, he took the knight, which is kind of superficially attractive because I need my queen here to defend the d pawn, so I have to take back with the g pawn. But in fact, this position is favorable to white. It looks like the pawn structure on my king is weakened, but his pieces are not in any position to take advantage of it. It just is going to take him too long to get an attack organized, whereas I have, in 2 moves, I can get a rook to the g file and actually start getting some pressure on the g7 point and have knight f5 in the mix there. So I'm actually quicker over here on the king side, and this pawn helps shore up my center. So he's actually improved my position by doing this transaction. He's given me the bishop pair, he's given me a strong center, and he's given me an open line to attack his king. And so I have a pretty good edge in this position. But let's see, he plays rook a b8, and I finally follow up with this b5 move. That's a key part of realizing my advantage. So he goes knight to a7, and there just were no good squares for that knight. And it looks a bit funny. This bishop is locked in, but it's going to redeploy at some point, and we will see this happening shortly. I drop my bishop back to c2. Right here was one of my missed opportunities. One of the reasons why this position is good is I'm actually already have the possibility of winning a pawn here. For example, if I grab here, and if he takes with the pawn, this gives me a strong passed pawn, but if he takes with the rook, my bishop is defended and I can play bishop to d2, hitting his rook, and the rook doesn't have any square from which it can conveniently defend this pawn, or his pawn. He could try this move, I guess. The engine gave the move just rook retreat and bishop takes a5. So I'm not sure what would happen after rook here. Maybe I just chase it. Oh, probably I chase it away with the knight. And yeah, looks like the rook gets in trouble over there. Okay. Anyway, I didn't play that, but that would be a chance to get an edge here. I play bishop to c2, and he goes b takes c3, so he gets rid of some of these weaknesses over here, gets rid of that idea of me winning a pawn. And then he goes after the center with c6. So I decide to shore up the center. I play c4, And all these moves are pretty reasonable. He goes bishop to d8. Maybe he's going to redeploy the bishop over here on the queen side. Plus he's defending this pawn in advance in case I decide to attack it. But actually, yeah, he has a bishop maneuver in mind, which is kind of interesting. I go queen e2. I could have gone knight f4 at that point, but well, I kind of wanted to shore up the king side a bit and try and position the queen to get into the action earlier quickly on the king side. Anyway, he goes bishop b6, taking a look at this diagonal. I move the king out of the way. I'm preparing to get some action going on the on the g file, and so it's convenient my queen is defending the f2 pawn. He comes in here with bishop to d4. Oh, by the way, the engine thinks I should sort of preempt this bishop move and put my rook on the b file here, but this is still okay. He kicks my rook, and maybe it's a little better on a2, but I went to b1, and we get these trades. Tick, tick. And then he closes up the center with c5, which is a very double-edged move. It means this bishop is very solidly positioned there. But on the other hand, this bishop has really limited mobility at this point. And so, I would question that move. Kind of locks the bishop in place. Okay, he goes rook g1, attacking my bishop. Let's see, he went c5. It's my turn. I went rook g1. Oh yeah, getting my rook on the g file. And now he plays queen takes a4. And this is another mistake. This actually gives me a pretty significant advantage. The queen is away from its duty of defending the d pawn, and I have this knight fork here that attacks g7 and it attacks the d pawn. So I go ahead and play that. Knight f5 goes g6, and I grab the pawn here. So an interesting position. I've got the material is still even because I got a pawn back, but white's king position is in danger of exploding before too long, and we'll see something like that happening. And black keeps playing on the queen side. He goes here, rook b8. Now, I don't play the best move here. I'm playing the move bishop to g5, which defends my bishop on b1. The move I wanted to play was bishop to c2 there, but I was worried about his rook coming into the b2 square, which is a problem in many lines. What the chess engine points out is I could have played bishop to d3 and kept control of this b2 square, which would have improved my game, and this is a good position. I just have to go slow on the kingside attack and make sure that his invasion over here on the queen side doesn't amount to anything. So I didn't play that. I went out quickly with bishop to g5. And now he has an interesting opportunity here, which he didn't take. He could have played rook b2 and gotten a good game. So that's why I didn't play this in the most accurate way. But he didn't play that move. Instead, he moved the knight. I mean, his knight was under attack. So he moved knight to h5. And then I brought my knight back to f5. So this is the first point. I mentioned there were a couple times where I just moved too quickly, and this is one of them. I played knight f5 because I remembered that this pawn was pinned, and he couldn't take the knight. And I'd forgotten that I'd just placed my bishop on g5. So actually he can take the knight, at least it's a legal move. It's not a good move, as it turns out in the game, but it leads to an interesting finish. So that's the first point at which I really moved too quickly. I missed some things in the game, but at least I was thinking. But I played this move without thinking, and then I realized, oh, he can take the knight. And but then after he took the knight, I said, yeah, but should he take the knight? And of course, he should have thought about that move some more too. This is a very dangerous discovered check, and in fact, after taking the knight, white is winning with best play. So I start with this move, bishop h6 check, a natural move to try and keep his king trapped, set up some kind of mating net. His king goes to h8, and then this is the second point where I moved too quickly. So right here, the move I played actually leads to a draw with best play. It's not a losing move, but there is one move here which is the winning move. So if you want to put on your attacking hat and see if you can find the winning move for white in this position. Okay, I'm going to give the answer away. I didn't look at this variation in any detail, so I'm not going to give any great depth of it. But the move F4 here is a winning move. For one thing, it prevents him from pushing his pawn to F4 and shutting down my attack. And my queen is now hitting his knight. My rook is still here defending the bishop, which is a crucial difference from some variations in the game. And so I have a winning attack from this point. So that was the move F4 if you got it. Instead, what I played, which is the second best move in the position, and leads to a draw with best play, but still with, I have an interesting attack going after e takes F5. That's the move I played. So he comes over with rook G8. That's one of the best defenses. There's different ways to defend it, but let's just look at what he played, because this also is still on the path to a draw with good play. I trade off this rook. He takes back. And then now I get the idea of pushing on with F4. I need to open up a line to get my queen into the game. So I'm threatening to come in here with check, and I'm threatening to take his knight. And now he makes the losing move. So this is a very interesting position. Basically, he can't move the knight. Any knight move loses. And what he should do, there's a couple ideas here that black has. One is he could bring his queen down to A1 and attack my bishop, which is now undefended because the rooks have been traded off. And then after this trade, it looks like there's equal chances for black. So an even game. The other move, which is kind of funny and a bit surprising, is that he can actually play king H8 here in this position and still get a draw. He can give up this knight, and then he comes over here with this queen. And the thing is, with the king on H8, I don't have a check in this position, so I have to waste a move trying to get in position for a check, like queen over here. And then he can grab this pawn with check, and there's just enough play in this position for black. Actually, black may even be slightly better in this position. I think queen G4 move was not the most accurate move for white. So the tables can turn pretty quickly, and but the key is he can't move that knight. Instead, he made this terrible move, knight takes F4. Well, he's trying to save the knight and attack my queen, but now my queen comes in with check. And he played his knight back to G6. So naturally, he's giving back material. I sacrificed a piece, but now I have my piece back, and the attack continues. I take, he takes. Cancel that. He took with the other pawn. Yeah, H takes G6. Okay. So this is a pop quiz here. What's the next attacking move for white? You put on your attacking hat. This is not a hard one to see. What do you play as white here? Okay, I'm hoping you got the idea. You just come in with the bishop. Bishop takes G6, and you're just crashing through. He tried to throw in a few checks. He went queen to A1 check. I went king to G2, and then he went E4. And now E4 was actually a clever defensive move that I had underestimated. He'd got his queen in the corner, lined up with his bishop, and he had pushed this pawn to open up a defensive line. So now there is a I can't come in and mate him on the G7 square, but there is a really good move for white in this position. So why don't you put on your thinking cap once again and see if you can find the winning move here. Okay, and this point in the game, I actually thought about this move for a minute and a half. It took me a long time to figure it out, so if you want to take some time and pause the video and think about it, it's definitely worthwhile finding it. It's a very clever tactic. Okay, I'm giving the answer away. The move I found and played in the game was bishop takes F7. And it's a move with 2 points. The first point is, if he takes, then queen here. The queen supported by the pawn delivers checkmate. The bishop is cutting off both the escape squares, and actually that's how the game ended. But the other point is, if the king runs away, if he goes to the H8 square, I have queen to G8 checkmate. But if he goes to this square, if he goes to the h7 square, then I have queen here, check, king back, queen here, checkmate. And there are other checkmates too. So I think actually in this position, queen here, check, followed by queen here, checkmate is also a mate in 2. So back in this position, this is just a mate in 3 from here. But anyway, yeah, the game concluded. He played king takes f7 and walked into this mate, which is a very cute one. So I just had to show you this game. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.